Hi, welcome back to Danny Harris Arts. As you can see, I already got the fish blank cut out, and I am doing a bluegill brim. And what I've done was I drew the pattern out on my computer and then printed it out, cut it out, and here's a sheet that I did the fins on, and then the top motion profile, and then of course I just cut them out. And here's the dorsal fin and the pelvic, or the anal fin, and then of course the pelvic and the pectoral fins. So it's all cut out, ready to start shaping. Appreciate y'all watching. If this is your first time here, I'd really appreciate it if you consider subscribing, hit that notification bell if you want to keep up with this project. And if you've been following, you saw that I just finished up a 40-inch Atlantic salmon. I didn't carve it, I just painted it. The man in Iceland carved it. His name's Svak Ingolfsson, and he sent it to me. He wanted me to paint it, so he sent it to me here in the States, and I painted it, and I'm about ready to ship it back to him here probably early next week. But check those videos out if you haven't. There's just two parts to it. Like I say, it's just painting, so there's just two parts to that video. But I'm anxious to get started on this one, so let me get the camera turned around and get started. I'm using my cut saw extra coarse ball nose to rough this out, and then I'm gonna draw on my center line here in just a second. Okay, so I got it kind of the corners knocked off of it just to start working on the shape now, and I want to draw the center line in here. And then the tail, I want the tail to be, it's going to be coming around, and I want it to have a little bit of motion in the tail, so I'm going to go ahead and draw the center line of where the tail would be on the center, but it'll probably come around more to the side here. So I won't use this part. So I don't want to carve over that line. I'll carve up to it, but I don't want to go over it. And I'll redraw that line several times. Show y'all something here. I have to avoid these guys all the time here. This is called a tussock moth caterpillar, and those little black spines, or actually all the spines, will they'll light you up. And they fall, they're crawling all around here, and they fall on me. I had one fall on my hand out here one day, fell right on my hand, and those little hairs and spine will irritate and sting, so I have to watch out for these guys. Get out of here. Anyway, enough of that. So I'm going to take this down some more, and what I'll do is I'll just start taking it down. I'll kind of follow my top view, which I'm almost there. I just want to make and start roughing the shape out. One of the things that I always mess up on, and I just now realized I messed up on it again. So I've got the movement of the body here. You can kind of see this is going to be the show side. So it'll be kind of flipping towards the viewer. So this curve of the fin is going to be curved, and I always cut those dudes out straight. So, but luckily I always cut them thick so that I have plenty of room to put the motion of the fins in. So, but this time I'm going to make sure I cut that to where the base of the fins curve with the body. Does that make sense? Because I always mess up and don't do that, and it makes it a pain in the butt to fit and finish them back in right. So I'll show you that when I come to it. Okay, I'm just checking my pattern out here, seeing how close I am here. And what I've done was go in here and draw on the caudal peduncle area here. So now I can kind of start taking some of that down, and then I drew in the actual shape of the tail here. So I can start shaping that a little better. Someone's drawing the motion that I want on it. And make that a little bit more of a sharp. Okay, so I've got the motion of the tail drawn in, and what I've done was I kind of think about the hydraulics of the water. So if he's swimming along and he turns, the tail with the hydraulics is going to cause it to kind of do, it's going to kind of cause it to do that slightly. But you see that? So that's what I'm going to draw the tail. It's coming in a turn here, and as he's turning, it's going to kind of turn back, like it's flipping back a little bit. So get that started here. Okay, so I've got this down. You can kind of see the shape. Turn this where you can see it here. So you can kind of see where it's going to be flipping back. He's turning this way, so the hydraulics of the water is going to cause the tail end of the fin to go back a little bit. So so I've been using this Kutzall cylinder ball nose extra coarse, and this is kind of my workhorse that I use for hogging off the bulk of the material. But here in a few minutes, I'm going to swap over to this 1/4 inch fine grit ball nose cylinder and start refining it down even more. I've also got these in a tapered burr, that's 1/4 inch, and then this is a flame burr, and then I just got a sphere, and I'm going to be using this one in a minute down in the curve of this tail to get me to smooth that out even more. But I get these from Bearwood Supply Company, and I'm an affiliate with Bearwood, and they sell these Kutzall bits. They sell Marathon rotary, high-speed rotary tools. They have Coalwood wood burners, and if you're a chip carver, they sell the flex cut carving knives, scroll saws, you name it. They got a whole line of supplies for the wood carver, so go check them out. And if you need anything, if you use my name Danny and the promo code, you can get 5% discount off all your purchases, and it helps me out a little bit. I get a little kickback on that, so it helps me out a little bit also. So I'd appreciate it if you go check them out, and especially if you need anything, give them a chance. They got great customer service and quick shipping. They're a Canadian company, so if you're in the States, they don't charge tax on it, so it's another savings you get. So go check them out and see if there's anything there you can't live without, and use my name and the promo code, and get you a little discount on there. So let me get started back in there. Actually, I'm gonna swap this out here. If anybody is if you're on Facebook much, I'm gonna use this one. If you're on Facebook much, I'm in a couple wood carving groups, and Steven, the owner of Bear Woods, has several wood carving groups on Facebook. And I'm in all three of the groups, and I post some of my work in there quite a bit. So if y'all are looking for a good wood carving group to join, check them out. And if you're new, you might be able to learn something in that. It's a good bunch of guys in there, and everybody's willing to share what they do and tips and techniques. So but check those out too. I'll leave a link to those in the description below. So I'm just going to use this fine now to go over, kind of remove some of the tool marks of this one. And don't let this fine fool you. This removes a ton of wood quick too, so you have to be careful with it. Actually, I think I want to use this ball nose, this steer here, to work on this tail a little bit. It's just a little bit bigger radius. You see, it's got just a little bit larger radius than this one, and I think that'll help me It's going to help me get the shape of that tail down a little better, a little quicker and easier. Okay, it's been a few days since I worked on this little guy, and after looking at it for a couple days, I can see it's too thick along the back, so I need to bring the back down. So I redrew my line in here, my center line, so I need to bring this back down just a little thinner up here, and probably just a little bit thinner on the belly. And then I'm going to start working on the fins here shortly. So, and what I've done here is I've got all the motion and the lines drawn out, center lines on all those. So I'll get started on those after I get this shaped up a little better. And I pretty much come down to a smoother finish, but I'm going to start off again with this extra coarse to start taking some of this down, and then I'll go back to a fine one here, and then finish up with the sanding pad. These are kind of cool. I like these. I've used these before. It's padded, and just you can put sandpaper around it. You can change out the sandpaper. So let me get started here. Alright, that looks a lot better. It has more of a thin down shape there. And then I'll do a lot by hand. These coarse sanding pads. Alright, I've got this sanded down just to a finished point. I'll sand it some more as I go after I get the gill detail in. There's a second hump that I need to put in that goes about right here. These big bull bluegill, the males get this big hump when they're during spawning, and this is going to be a spawning male. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but the big bulls develop this big hump on their head, and they've got a second one, just a little dip that's about right here that I need to put in there too. I don't know if you can see that or not. but that's I'll worry about that later. I'm going to start getting these fins. So now I am going to start roughing out these fins. And what I've done was I've gone in through here and I've cut the height of my fin. So I've got this little line here where I know where it's going to be. And it'll be the same over here, so I'm gonna draw that in so I can kind of keep up with it. And then I think I showed you at first here, I've got the motion of the fins cut in. And one of the mistakes I've made, and I've talked about this, is almost all my fish have some kind of motion in the body itself. And one of the problems I was doing when I would cut these fins out is I would put the motion in the back, but I'd always failed to put just a little bit of motion in the base where it attaches to the fin. And what would happen was I would make this one straight, and then of course my slot for the fin would be curved slightly, and I'd end up having to kind of redo the slot, and it was just a mess. So I got smart this time, and I drew my curvature, translated my curvature into the base that'll fit onto the fish. So I did it on the dorsal and the anal fins. It'll have just a slight curve in it down here also. But anyway, I'm going to get started cutting these out. You can see my motion here. This is the bottom, and this is the top. And then the fin will kind of have a little flip. So that's why I cut these so wide, so that I can get that motion in there. So I'm going to stop yammering here and start cutting these out. You can see the line here, the center line. I got the center line drawn, and I'm just going to go down to the edge, 1/8 of an inch or so out from the center line, and then I'll start taking it down once I get the complete fin down to this line. Let me talk a little bit about using these extra coarse. I had got some questions about on the Facebook page about the guy was asking me about using these, and I was telling him they're great for hogging off wood, but you got to be careful because you can hog off a lot of skin real quick. Also, a lot of times I'll keep my thumb kind of bracing to do it. Other times you'll see me just holding it up against my body. But you'll also know that you can see where I've got to start taking off. I don't start up here and take it. I'll start back here behind it just a little bit and work my way down, because if you get to that edge and catch it, it's gonna come off and either do damage to the edge or get your finger. So just be careful when you're using these. Don't go to the edge. Once I get done, I'll turn it around and come back towards me. And a good heavy leather apron, you'd be silly to carve without using a good heavy duty apron. I don't mean a cloth one either, I mean leather. Cloth one will wrap up in that in a heartbeat, but this leather, it'll just kind of skin over the top of it. So let me start here. You can see how fast, I've showed it before, you can see how fast this one hogs off this wood. And this is Tupelo. Now these pelvic fins are not going to have quite as much motion. They're going to be, may have a little ripple in one side, just a little cup shape in the other. I'm not putting quite as much. These generally are a little bit stiffer. I may mount them a slight different angle on the bottom from one another. Okay, that's going to be it for part one of this Bluegill Bream wood carving project. Got the body all done, roughly shaped out. So I'm going to do a little bit of hand sanding on it. And then I've got the fins done, all cut out. And I'm going to be sanding these down as well and getting ready to do the detail on those, which I'll start in part two. So I appreciate y'all watching. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them for me in the comment section below. And if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys on part two.